I remember the day so vividly. It's etched into my mind like a scar. I had just stood in front of a packed auditorium, my voice trembling but determined. The room had fallen silent, then erupted into whispers and sneers when I unveiled my project. Tactile communication devices for the deaf. My colleagues, my so-called friends, my family, everyone had looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And then the public backlash came. A trusted colleague, someone I once considered a friend, took to the podium and declared my methods dangerous, that relying on sensation instead of sleek, shiny digital tech was outdated, reckless, and a threat to progress. The media picked up the story, painting me as a relic clinging to old ways. My reputation crumbled overnight. That's when everything changed. I was crushed, yes, but beneath that pain, a furious spark ignited. I realized this wasn't just about my invention or my ideas. It was about the deaf community I wanted to serve. I had promised them a way to truly connect, to feel understood beyond words. That promise became my fuel. I left behind the comfort of academia, the approval of peers, and the safety of my reputation. I abandoned the familiar to pursue what I knew in my bones was right. They called it a foolish, quaint obsession. They said I'd fail, that I'd be relegated to the sidelines forever. But failure wasn't an option anymore. Not if I wanted to prove everyone wrong, especially myself. I worked day and night, pouring every ounce of passion into refining my tactile tech. I endured ridicule, setbacks, and moments when I wondered if I'd lost my mind entirely. But I kept going, driven by one unshakable belief, that connection could be redefined through sensation, that technology could serve a higher purpose. Years passed, the world shifted, and my work slowly gained recognition. I developed a new kind of tactile interface, an immersive, sensory-rich system that transformed barren landscapes into lush ecosystems. It was bizarre, almost poetic, turning the land itself into a language of life, a tactile symphony of growth and resilience. I used the technology to revive devastated areas, planting seeds of hope where despair had taken root. And now, I was returning home, not as the laughingstock, not as the failure, but as someone who had proven that a relentless pursuit fueled by conviction could reshape not just landscapes, but perceptions. I was a testament that sometimes the most ridiculed ideas are the seeds of true revolution. The day I stepped back into my hometown, the air felt different. It was heavier, charged with the weight of years lost to doubt and scorn. My family hadn't seen me in a long time, not since I'd disappeared into my work, trying to escape their whispers and skepticism. I knew they still carried their judgments, but I was ready. I stood in the backyard where I'd once played as a child. The soil was dry, cracked, a picture of neglect. I pulled out my device, the culmination of my years of work, and activated it. The land responded. Tiny sprigs pushed through the parched earth. Leaves unfurled, and the soil seemed to breathe alive again. The transformation was visible, tangible, like a miracle. One by one, my family appeared behind me, faces full of skepticism and curiosity. My mother, my father, my siblings, they had watched me chase what they called a ridiculous dream, mockingly dismissing my passion. They had told me I'd never succeed, that I'd be an embarrassment. But then I turned to face them, my voice steady and clear. This is what your doubts almost kept me from seeing. I gestured toward the vibrant, thriving landscape. The land that just moments ago was barren and dead. For years, you told me I was wasting my time, that my methods were outdated, dangerous even. You laughed and dismissed my ideas as foolish. But I believed in what I was doing, because I knew connection isn't about pixels or digital flash. It's about feeling, about understanding through sensation, through touch, the language of life itself. You see, I was mocked for relying on old-fashioned sensation. But what the world called old-fashioned, I called timeless. And now, look, their faces shifted. Surprise, discomfort, maybe even a flicker of pride. But beneath it all, I saw where the doubts still lingered. You doubted me, I continued, voice rising with quiet intensity. You doubted my methods, my purpose, but I refused to let your words define me. I built this, not just this land, but a new path forward, for deaf children, for communities that felt invisible. I turned my pain and rejection into a legacy of resilience. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years fall away. You see, success isn't just about money or fame. It's about proving that your dreams, no matter how ridiculous they seem, can change the world. I've done that. And I'm here today to remind you that sometimes the greatest victories come from standing firm against the tide of disbelief. It was a quiet, profound moment of reckoning. A family witnessing the fruit of years of relentless perseverance. As I looked into their eyes, I realized something powerful. I had not only transformed land, but also broken the chains of doubt that had tethered us to our fears. I'd shown them that innovation rooted in authenticity and compassion could transcend ridicule. That the old-fashioned way, touch, sensation, connection, was often the most revolutionary of all. And in that moment, I understood the greatest success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about inspiring them to see beyond their narrow vision, to recognize the immense potential within themselves. I stepped back, letting the greenery spread like a living testament to what's possible when you dare to believe. I knew I'd face new challenges, new skeptics, new setbacks. But I also knew I had already won the biggest battle, the one inside myself, overcoming the voice that said I'd never be enough. Because in the end, it wasn't about the ridicule or the failures. It was about the unwavering belief that my vision could make a difference. And that, just like this land, I had the power to grow beyond the shadows of doubt into something truly triumphant. And that's the greatest lesson I ever learned. Your dreams may be dismissed, your methods mocked, but if you hold true and keep pushing, you'll transform every obstacle into a stepping stone until the world finally sees what's truly possible.